So they said I couldn't build a class of 81 arcade control panel. Well, maybe they didn't say that or nobody said it, but I started to think it as I was building my class of 81 replica arcade from scratch. Now, if you like videos on building arcades and how to do it, make sure you subscribe and hit this like button because I'll have more videos coming up in the near future on this project. Now, I know someone out there is saying, oh, you should just get the class of 81 arcade 1-up. Well, there's just so many things wrong with this class of 81, including the wrong control panel design, a 17-inch monitor instead of a 25-inch monitor, and most importantly, the wrong ROM is in this game. So this wasn't just going to do it for me to get an arcade 1-up. I needed the real thing, or at least something close to it, just like this one. But as I began building my class of 81, I realized the hardest part was going to be the control panel. Nobody had one for sale, so I was going to have to build it from scratch. So I started with a Miss Pac-Man template that you could get from Mike's Arcade. Now here it's $55 or so. I got mine for $35 a while back. But you can get a lot of different control panels already completed at Mike's Arcade, but not a class of 81. You can get a Galaga or even Nintendo control panels already done. But again, no class of 81s. So I started with a Miss Pac-Man control panel and then would soon realize that I would need a clean panel with no holes in it. What I quickly realized as I laid the graphical artwork over the Miss Pac-Man was that the holes for the class of 81 did not line up as they would have with a Miss Pac-Man. They were just slightly off in certain areas, and this wasn't going to work. So I needed to use the template with no holes in it and then figure out how to cut all the holes in the template from Mike's Arcade. This meant that the real difficulty of this whole project is only going to be drilling the holes and figuring out how to drill the holes. I didn't have the proper tools to drill through these metal plates, but I knew someone who did, and they would help me out to get this project done. Usually when I build a control panel, I'll just loosely put the artwork on the control panel, then drill small holes where I want to drill the big holes. But I did this project a little differently, and the reason is I wanted to make it easier for the person drilling the holes and show them exactly where the holes would work without any misalignment. So what I did was I applied the graphical artwork first. I usually wouldn't recommend applying the artwork completely first on a control panel. I would technically line it up, mark the holes, drill, then apply the artwork. But for this project, I'm doing it a little bit differently. I actually have had this artwork sitting for a long time and didn't really store it too properly. I had some creases in it, so it wouldn't come out perfectly, but it came out pretty well when I applied the graphics, and I'm happy with the way it came out. I'm a little concerned with the underside. There's a little ridge or ledge that the artwork is folding under. I'm hoping that that doesn't start to peel off. Maybe I could add a little adhesive if I have to. Now here's where I'm going to cut holes in the artwork for the alignment of the drilling of the holes. You'll notice I'm using a socket to get a round hole in the right size of the hole. I wanted to make sure I cut a hole big enough so the drill bit wouldn't catch the graphics and tear them. If you're drilling and you catch the graphics with that drill bit, it's going to shred all around the graphics. So I wanted to make sure that the hole I trimmed out would be big enough for the drill bit. There's 6 total holes, basically I believe 28 millimeters. And once I was done using an X-Acto knife to cut out those holes, we'd be ready for drilling. Don't forget we'll need 4 holes for the joystick, and actually I was able to drill those holes myself. When it was all said and done, it would look like this. The holes came out pretty good, almost perfect alignment for all of them. I'd have a couple small blemishes, but nothing really bad. And now we're going to have to add all the accessories to complete the control panel. We have our buttons, 2 yellow, 2 white, and for the fire button, which is red, I'm going to be using a leaf switch button right here. Now, These Class of 81s actually came with micro switch buttons according to many arcade experts. They did not come with leaf switch buttons like original Pac-Mans. Same for the joystick. The joystick actually used a micro switch joystick, not a leaf joystick. This is technically a micro switch joystick that I'm holding in my hand, a replica for a Pac-Man, Class of 81, etc. I'm actually going to use the Groovy Game Gear Pac Pro when it comes back into stock instead of the micro switch joystick. I want the leaf joystick. We also have our clamp brackets that will hold down the control panel with the clamps. These brackets go on the inside of the arcade on the left and right sides, and that will be how the control panel sits down and rests inside the cab. These are the clamps that will pull down on those brackets in order to hold the control panel tightly. And then this bracket here goes in the front middle of the control panel, and it helps it rest inside the cabinet on the kick plate. It gives it a little more stability. All these parts you can get at Mike's Arcade or even Arcade Shop. They are available, which made this project doable. Without them, I couldn't have made any of this happen. So now we're going to add all the buttons. We're going to add the brackets on the left and right. And we're not going to add the joystick at this time because, again, I'm waiting for the Pac Pro to come in. I'd rather use that joystick instead. But either joystick is doable for sure. Now listen to the leaf switch button as compared to the micro switch. I think I'm going to have better success with the leaf switch button for all the games I'm going to play on this, and there's a little bit of teaser there. What do I mean all the games? There's only basically 3 on a PCB of Class of 81, which I will be using, but I will also be using something else. I think you'll enjoy how I'm going to set up this Class of 81, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification button.